Hello, YouTube. Is it time to buy everything? Because we're noticing that crypto coin XRP is up 100% off its lows and retraced to only be up by about 7%. Normally, we don't talk about crypto at the onset of the show, but today we heard from a judge saying that crypto tokens sold to the public may not be a security, which led to a dramatic rally in the crypto space. We note that Bitcoin is up here at 31,500. Ether is rocking about 2,000, up by 4 and 6% apiece. It was a meaningful rally. And when we look over here to the S&P 500, another gap and go. We are closing up here and we are over 450. We printed it. We made it. So it's time to celebrate these bulls. On the week, we are up by 11 points. And that is over the number that Tom Lee told us in terms of the 100-point rally, on SPX. We have a hollow candle and we have a higher low. So as of right now, there are no warning signs the rally is over. We also got fresh juice from PPI coming in below estimates, previous number revised lower, and the market took that as a reason to bid it up. We also heard from Delta Airlines and Pepsi this morning, both coming in with nice, strong beats. And we're noticing that we got big banks reporting tomorrow, which means we're getting into the thick of earnings. Let's get through the rest of this news because it was a pretty jam-packed day. Something else we have here is that Fed President James Bullard, again, another thing for the Bulls, is stepping down. He's going to go become president of the university. He was going to school or academia. I'm going to ask you for a huge favor, please and thank you. If you could, please consider smashing that thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Fear and Greed ticked higher by 1 point to 80. So I want to talk about this briefly because we mentioned that as we're going higher on the price, we want to also form higher highs on Fear and Greed to signal that there is fresh money coming to work here and it's not just a squeeze, which is going to ultimately tire itself out. So the number we're looking for is about 83. I believe we made it as high as about 81 today, but we've not yet formed that higher high on Fear and Greed. So we know that price is king, but we want to try to understand what is driving this rally. And here we go. There's that 83 reading going back to June 30th. And the highest reading we've had so far was yesterday at 81 and today at 80. Amazon boasts record sales for Prime Day as U.S. shoppers crack their wallet opens and spend $12.7 billion. Google Bard, Google's ChatGPT rival, was also launched in Europe and Brazil today, and that is a nice move for Google. Finally, tomorrow on July 14th, we're going to hear about the rebalancing, the weighting changes for the NASDAQ 100. So stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be interesting. And then we look here and see that Google is up, Amazon is up, and NVIDIA is up. We have leaders, which are leading, and followers are following. The market appears like it is in a risk-on rally. And something which is driving this is the fact that the dollar lost $100 today. It has been a fade for a while. We know the dollar is now tanking. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row, the dollar is getting crushed. On the weekly chart, we are now getting a lot more evidence. We have our head and shoulders. We are below our 50 MA. We have a downtrend, and we cracked $100 and closed below it. Closing the weekly below here would give it even more juice. The reason why the dollar is important is because when we look at the percent decline on the week, it's 2.5%. We look at the percent decline on the day, it's 0.8. What's the S&P's gain? Exactly 0.79. Perfectly tracking it. We look to the gain on the week, up 2.5%. There we go. ES is doing it. So the risk on rally is feeding through to not just to the S&P. The turning point appears like it is bullish right here, and crypto is getting a big boom. Gold is approaching 2,000. That is a big, big number. Every trillion-dollar company is pushing into earnings. And I think the only thing which was actually down today was energy. Energy is down a little bit, but actually up on the week, breaking its channel. So I'll give that one a pass. It's up 3.5 on the week. And then there was an insurer which said they were getting some losses, which led to some declines for regional insurance companies. Otherwise, every major market is up. We know emerging markets are up by 4.7 on the week. China is up by 6% on the week. The DAX is flexing. It is up by 3.5 on the week. So with big banks kicking off tomorrow, I think the really important thing is just tracking these weekly charts to make sure that we understand what they are really telling us. So if we keep all of that in mind and we look at QQQ, because that's really where the news was coming out from today, what did we hit? We hit 379.99. So if we close over last week's high at 372, that is going to be a weekly higher. Sorry, that's a bullish engulfing candle over last week's high, and that's perfectly bullish. If we look at SPY, if you remember from, I think it was Monday, we talked about, well, what if that is the low of the week? Would it make sense in hindsight? Well, as of right now, it appears like it does make sense because the market just took that as a Q2 moon, right? So when moon? Well, it looks like now. So if we try to think about what this all means and what we need to do going into earnings, I want to briefly just go through some of the expectations for these companies, because I think that if we understand what is coming down the pipe, it can be better. It can be a better tool for us to try to get ready for earnings season. Netflix reports on the 19th expecting a beat. We're going to be getting Tesla on the same day, I believe, coming in with a beat. Then we look here too. We got Apple expecting a beat. We look here to what's the second biggest company? Microsoft expecting a beat. So far they're all beats. Let's look at Google. Beat. Let's look at Amazon. Beat. Let's look over here to Meta. Beat. Okay, what about Nvidia? Probably not going to get a number net. No, not number yet. It's a little bit later. But so far, it looks like everything wants to go higher. So if we're worried about this quarter, well, maybe the worry is just that there's a lot of bulls and there's just not a lot of bears. So if that's the case, what do we want to look for? It's very simple. We just want to look for higher highs and higher lows. And for me to know the squeeze is continuing, I have a very simple story here. It's just the gaps. We got a gap here. This is going back to March. This is going to May. And then we got one here established in June. And then we got a more recent one. So the saying is that all gaps get filled in time. But when we look here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 gaps now. So as long as we just keep going, it means the squeeze is on. But like I mentioned, I really want to see that fear and greed kick up to over 83. Closing above 84 on a weekly would get me quite bullish. And the reason I say that is because like everything's really picking up here. If you remember, we talked about ARK early in the week, and right now it's booming. Remember, Kathy is a big investor in Coin, and Coin had a terrific day today. So ARK is here nearly pushing 50, and it's a big round number going into Friday. So we're going to be watching that really closely here. But this is really what we were talking about in terms of that exuberance missing from the market. If we look at that article, I'll see if I can pull it up here. Here we go. This is from only 8 days ago. Oh my goodness, how fast things change. So we look here to the article we looked at going back to July 6th, and we noted that the tech-led stock rally is missing some exuberance. Well, it looks like it's kicking back in here. Let's look over at that heat map again one more time. Let's look at, I don't know, like the last month. Hey, this is looking pretty good. It's pretty green everywhere. A couple of blocks are red. United Health will be reporting tomorrow along with big banks, so pay close attention to that one. And the reason why is because it's one of the biggest blocks. After Tesla, Meta, Berkshire, Visa, JP Morgan, Exxon, we got United right there. So banks are going to tell us the tone, what we should be expecting. If you zoom out here to a 3-month, hey, it looks pretty good. Healthcare is not doing so hot, but everything else other than energy and UNH and some utilities look pretty good. Let's look at year to date now. Why? Because we want to see that breadth and depth widen out to every sector in every group. Well, right now, it's not everything that's up, but I'd say that there's a lot more green than red. Energy down, health services down, utilities, same theme we saw before. Same thing with healthcare. So if we understand what's driving the market and we know that there's going to be that big rebalancing happening tomorrow, I would say let's look and see what happens going into that actual number coming out. Let's pay close attention to weekly closing prices. And if we look here to something like RSP, we can get a sense on where equal weight S&P 500 stocks are. Remember, S&P just took out the August high. What do we have here? We're right back to that August high. Technically a very small head and shoulders. What I would like to see is for it to clear that 153.1 area. It's right around it. 153.2 is the high of the week. So if we can get back over that, it would give me a lot more confidence. Why? Well, because 431.73 was that same number for SPY. After we got over that, a little bit of a back test and then fresh rip higher. So for RSP, if it is able to replicate the move, this bullish volume looks really solid. We're bouncing off the 50 MA. We had those lower wicks. We had the IHS. Everything here says that we could be going where? Well, where the S&P is now. That's at roughly 160, which would mean that we're going to see that breadth and depth widen out and start to drag most stocks higher. So with that said, we thank you so much for watching. The weekend deep dive is now queued up here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to make an effort to come to the end of day stream tomorrow, but I might not be able to make it. I do have a personal commitment. I will make my best effort to be there. But if not, I thank you very much for your support this week. I wish you all the best of luck into the end of the trading week, and thank you once again for your support.